And happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to Big Blue Kickoff Live right here on Giants.com and the Giants mobile app. It's all brought to you by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. Happy schedule release day, everybody. I am Schmeelk. He is Paul Dottino. Though the schedule has not been released yet, though we have a couple more trickles as we figure out exactly what's happening here with the NFL schedule in 2024. We'll talk about that. Another big announcement by the Giants today of something that's going to be happening over the next few months. So we'll talk about that. And maybe we'll go a little more 100th anniversary bracket with the greatest plays bracket. And then we will take all your calls at 201-939-4513. So, Paul, let's take the breaking news first.
Okay.
The Giants will be playing in Germany this year. Guten Tag, my friend. Gesundheit, and all those other German words that I know, and then that's pretty much all I got. As a guy from German heritage, I'm just not a good
Frankfurter.
That's not a German word.
No. I was trying.
Lederhosen, maybe? You got all that?
Dankeschön? No?
Yeah, maybe.
Possibly.
I need to get schooled up on my German here because we will be heading to Germany.
I have a feeling the people in Germany know how to say touchdown, or at least they will learn.
No, Germans speak a lot of English. There were a lot of Americans there in the mid 1900s for reasons that maybe people don't want to remember. But yes,
I will say this: the Giants played a preseason game in Berlin when Dan Reeves was the head coach.
Early 90s, right?
Okay, yeah, and what they found. And even when NFL Europe and the World League of American Football was played over there, Frankfurt, Berlin, is that a lot of military are based over there.
They still have military bases in Germany.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and so that is a really, really big deal for them.
Right.
So I will just say this. I hope all you military folks out there who are in Germany, I hope this is a great event for you guys, and I hope that you really get to enjoy the whole celebration about it.
So the Giants will be playing in Munich against the Carolina Panthers on November 10th. It'll be a standalone game. That'll be one of those Sunday morning starts, probably around 9:30. So that'll be a fun day for the Giants to have a standalone game. I'm assuming either Paul or I or one of us will probably be out there doing stuff. We'll see. We don't have any travel details yet, obviously.
Nope.
But that'll be a fun game, and I imagine, Paul, this is not meant as a slight to the Panthers, but I know there are a lot of Giant fans in Germany. It's probably where internationally most Giant, that's probably the country where the Giants are most popular. I think the Giants have a little bit of an advantage there in terms of crowd in Germany.
Giants are big in the United Kingdom, too.
They are.
I will say this. If you got an opportunity to watch the latter rounds of the NFL draft a few weeks ago, Amani Toomer and Brandon London were over there, and Toomer made one of the Giants' draft picks.
Yep.
And, they had a pub there that was very Giant-themed or Giant-centric, if you will. And so they've already had some contact with those folks. And I was talking to Brandon the other day, as a matter of fact, at the rookie minicamp, and he said the reception was incredibly great, very warm. People were real excited about the possibility because at that point they were speculating that, hey, Big Blue might be coming over here. And so Brandon told me he did get an opportunity to go by the stadium. He wasn't actually in the one that the Giants will play in against the Panthers, but said looks like a great facility.
All right, another new German word for you.
What do you got?
Pub in German.
Yes.
Kneipe.
Really?
Not bad. I just looked it up.
That's a long translation for just a three-letter word.
Okay. Well, sure.
Well, a word as simple as pub, P-U-B, you might think that there's a chance that would cross some language lines.
Apparently not. Anyway, so there you go. That's our first new German word there.
Okay.
But yeah, it should be fun. We'll see if the Giants, a lot of times other teams have put the bye connected to their Europe game. The Giants did not do that last year, and it worked out well. They won the game coming off their game in London against Baltimore. They came back home. They beat the Packers, if you remember in that game, if I remember correctly, right?
Well, no, they beat Packers.
I'm sorry, they beat the Ravens. They came home after the Packer game and they beat the Ravens here after the game. I swapped.
Beat Green Bay in London.
Right, but then when they came back off the London game, they won the next game. So we'll see if the Giants end up having the bye week after the Germany game.
Well, that was because they thought that the bye week would have been too early in their season.
Right.
And so they wanted it later. As it turns out now, with this game in Week 10, the bye week will bump it in Week 11, which to their liking was a good spot.
Right. So we'll see if they end up doing that. The other big Giants announcement this morning is that the Giants are doing Hard Knocks. Kind of.
Asterisk.
It's not your typical preseason Hard Knocks and training camp. The Giants collaborating with Max and NFL Films and all the other partners, Skydance and all those partners. And you can go check out the announcement on the Giants Twitter page on Giants.com. They're doing an off-season Hard Knocks. This is something we've known about for a while because, frankly, there's been cameras all over the place. And we have not been able to talk about it. Giant fans have asked me a lot on this show and also mostly on Twitter on why we haven't had any Giants Life episodes about the offseason.
You figured it out now, didn't you?
And I've ignored all of them because I wasn't allowed to say anything, and, well, this is why. So basically what you're going to have is a multi-episode series starting in July. 5 or 6 episodes, Pearson?
5.
5 episodes, thank you. Where they're basically detailing the Giants from their offseason through July. So you're going to have Senior Bowl. You're going to have Shrine Game. You're going to have Combine. You're going to have free agency. You're going to have the draft.
Rookie minicamp.
You're going to have all that. You probably have veteran mandatory minicamp too in June, I would imagine. Up until when the players depart, and then the show's going to air in July. So you're not going to have any training camp stuff. They'll have a separate, I'm sure they'll have a normal Hard Knocks training camp series this year.
We haven't heard.
No, I remember that, and they did in-season Hard Knocks last year with the Dolphins,
I know.
too, which is also very good. So that's coming. It's exciting. I think it'll give really good insight as to, how the Giants evaluated their roster and what their thought process was in free agency. With, Saquon Barkley, Xavier McKinney deciding to let them go. The trade for Brian Burns, we'll get the insight on that. Deciding who they picked at number 6 overall in the draft. The access is fantastic. And Joe Shane and Brian Dable are both really good about this. They give us a lot of access, too, and Films had a ton of access. So it's going to be, I think, a really, really good program.
It's one of the things that we learned about both Brian and Joe Shane when they came from Buffalo, because the Bills organization is very media-friendly. Yeah. They do a lot of stuff that lets the fans in. And ever since they got here, they have been dynamite with us. The NFL saying they do have the dates here, John. 5 episodes starting Tuesday, July 2nd at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on HBO. And then it's also going to be on Max. And then it also says that there'll be new episodes every Tuesday through July 30th.
So every Tuesday in July you will have an episode.
Yeah. And again, the key here is that other Hard Knocks that were in season or training camp, this is an off-season Hard Knocks, a totally different animal, if you will.
Yeah, so again, I've probably not a whole lot of on-field stuff here, folks. It's going to be mostly, discussions in the front office. I got to imagine some of the discussions in the draft room, deciding, putting your board together. I think it's going to be fascinating. I cannot wait to watch it. I have not seen, and guys, just for the record, Pearson can get on and confirm this. Films we've supplemented some of their stuff in terms of shooting, but we have not seen any of their footage. This is stuff that's under lock and key. We have no idea what they have, and I can't wait to see what they do and what they've captured.
I think for you fans out there, I can appreciate the fact that it's great to see behind the curtain, but most people think, well, training camp is something that you come to anyway, so you see a lot of that because they're practicing on the field. In season, of course, you don't. Well, this is another part that you don't. Because not only do the fans not see any of the machinations that go on during the offseason, but most of the media doesn't see it either. They have very, very few times where they have conference calls or visits to the facility during the offseason, comparatively speaking, as opposed to in season. So I suspect that even a lot of the media is going to be glued to these programs to get more of a flavor of what the offseason procedures are.
Yeah, and I think what's going to be cool is that we've all seen fans. When I say we obviously know these people individually as people, but fans know names of people in the front office. They know the names of scouts. And we've introduced some of these people to you in our Giants Life documentaries.
Sure.
But I think this is going to be a good opportunity to really put personalities, role, responsibilities to faces and see how they all interact with each other, see how that hierarchy works, how the workflow goes in the front office of the organization, so you have an understanding about how the Giants do, in fact, go about their business.
Yeah, I'm excited about it because I think the entire fan base is going to get a really good kick out of it. And I think the funny part about it, we've talked for years, John. We've talked for years. At some point in time, Hard Knocks may catch up to this team. The Giants had never been part of Hard Knocks before, right?
Does this count?
It's Hard Knocks. I think it does.
I don't know if it does.
Well,
is it a separate category for training camp? Hard Knocks? I don't know.
I think Hard Knocks is Hard Knocks, and I think a lot of us who have talked about it, and even a lot of other media in other cities where they have had Hard Knocks, have suggested it was a distraction.
Oh, and John Mara has not been shy about not being a big fan of the training camp Hard Knocks. He has publicly said that.
If I may just go out on a limb here, I think it is an incredibly smart and creative decision by the folks at the league, the folks within the Giants organization, ownership, marketing, promotions, everybody, to come to a meeting of the minds and say, okay, you know what? Let's do another variety of Hard Knocks.
Right, which doesn't get in the players' way, and the players and coaches can still go about their business.
I think it's a tremendous tip of the cap because there's still value in this style of Hard Knocks without the potential distractions that we have seen a lot of teams have to go through.
Yeah, and you got to give credit to Joe Shane and Brian Dable for allowing it. Because, look, this puts a lot of onus on Joe Shane and his crew, right? Because this is his front office staff that is going to be, I imagine, predominantly featuring this, along with the coaches, obviously, too. Mm-hmm. So, and a lot of credit to Mr. Mara and Mr. Tisch for allowing this to go on. And I think it's going to give us a lot of insight, which should be a lot of fun. All right, Paul, real quick here, before we get to the calls, why don't we go through the second half of the Giants' greatest plays bracket? As you guys know, the Giants are celebrating their 100th season this year, and part of it is their bracket challenge. So just go to Giants.com/bracket. It's the Giants' greatest play bracket, brought to you by Hackensack Meridian Health. Each week, you'll have 16 plays. It's an NCAA tournament-style bracket. You vote, and you basically decide who the Giants' greatest play is going to be. We went through the first half of the blue bracket yesterday. We'll go through the second half today very quickly, and then I see we got a full bank of calls, and we'll get to them at 201-939-4513. All right, Paul, you have Mark Ingram's 3rd and 13 catch against the Denver Broncos, or rather the Buffalo Bills in
Super Bowl
25.
Yeah.
3rd and 13, broke about like 4 or 5 tackles. Mm-hmm. A million people missed. Critical third down on that final drive to set up that game-winning field goal, or the go-ahead field goal, I should say, in that game, right? Or did they score a touchdown on that drive?
No, that was a touchdown drive.
That was the go-ahead touchdown drive. Pardon me. And then it's going against the play, Paul, that honestly, and when I watched it, I couldn't believe it. This play did not stick in my brain maybe as much as it should have. The 2007
Really?
No, it didn't. I don't know why. The 2007 NFC title game, an unbelievable diving catch by Toomer, getting his 2 toes down, landing on the frozen surface with his arms and holding onto the ball on the side. One of the best catches you'll ever see. Mm-hmm. So, 2 really good plays here in the first matchup.
I have to go, yes, no question. But I have to go to Ingram here.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the magnitude of the Super Bowl as compared to only a playoff game. Super Bowl is obviously more important than a playoff game. And even though that is Amani Toomer at his very best, okay, there's no question about that.
And the Toomer catch, it's a better catch.
Yes.
But everything Ingram does after the catch and
the yak.
Correct. That's what pushes it above. I'm with you.
The yak pushes it far above, and the tension and understanding that, you know what, to be frank with you, and John, you know this, you were there, the 2007 playoff game against Green Bay, the Giants really owned Green Bay in that game. It shouldn't have been that close. Tides missed some field goals. Giants had fumbles that they had to make their own recoveries on. I thought the Giants totally outplayed them. There was a phantom call on Chris Snead that called back a Bradshaw touchdown
2011
run.
Was much more lopsided. I thought 2000s, I don't think they dominated the game.
I thought they clearly had the edge, and I feel as though they were going to have their way anyway. But the Bills game...
Shocking you thought that.
I did. Well, I'm sorry. But the Bills game, that Ingram play may be the most important third down conversion the Giants have ever had. So I'm going Ingram.
All right, let's go to our next one.
Sorry, Amani.
This is old school, so one of these old school guys is going to win. We got Rosie Brown, of course, one of the greatest Giants in history. Blocks 3 guys against the Eagles. And then Mel Hein picked 6 in 1938. Big interception return. Excuse me.
Bless
against
you.
Green Bay.
Yeah, Rosie Brown. The best thing about Rosie Brown, he was voted, on the All NFL Top 50 anniversary team, Top 75, Top 100, maybe the greatest offensive tackle to ever play the game. And the thing about Rosie that made him unique is that when he played back in the 50s, he was truly a giant of a man. And I'm not trying to be funny. He was a giant of a man for his size at the time. And the way he played, he was so athletic, and he would always get out ahead of the play and would take down second and third levels of defenders. That's what made him so special, John. He wasn't just a lineman who was there in his telephone booth. He got out. Very, very athletic. And that play that we have up on the clip where he takes out 3 defensive players on one block, that says it all. I want to go there, but I've got to go to Mel Hein, and the reason is because Rosie did these kinds of blocks on a routine basis. Roosevelt Brown consistently took out people downfield, wiped them out, and allowed Giff and the rest of those guys to make yardage. Mel Hein was a center and I believe a linebacker. Played 2 ways.
Mel Hein? No, center was actually a defensive position back then too, so he was a center both ways. Yes.
Yeah. And with the pick 6, I'm going to go there. I'm going to give it to him just because what we have with Rosie is something that he did as a matter of routine. So I'll go Mel Hein.
Don't understand how good Mel Hein was.
Well, it's impossible because the game was different.
He won the MVP in 38. He was a first-team All-Pro 8 times. 4 times in the NFL All-Star game, which I don't think started until 38, so missed the first 5 years of his career.
Right.
He was the 30s All-Decade team, again, 2-time NFL champion in 34 and 38. So just an unbelievable
Well, you didn't come off the field then.
Correct. Yeah, he played both ways.
I gotta go there. And again, Rosie, I'm sorry. God, rest his soul, rest in peace.
I'm sure he'll forgive you.
Love Rosie, but those blocks, routine for him. He was that great.
All right, now our next one, we got 2 modern era catches here. So we have Odell Beckham, the catch. You fans might not have seen this play.
Did you have to put the clip up?
It's the one against Dallas, one-handed on the sideline. We all know it. And then you have the big Amani Toomer catch from Eli Manning beating, I think that was the undefeated Bronco team, Paul?
No, the undefeated Bronco team would have been the Kent Graham.
That was 98, right? That was 98. Sorry.
That was at Giant Stadium.
This was kind of not Eli's coming out party, but it was a big win for Eli. It was a late comeback for him, finding Toomer in the back.
Back of the end zone.
I always get those 2 Bronco games
back line, I believe.
Yes. Yeah, correct. It was in the back of the end zone. Manning finding Toomer for the touchdown to give the Giants a 24-23 win.
Again, big win for the Giants. Huge win for them. Pulling one out of the fire, showing the kind of metal Eli Manning had. Toomer again finding that space right inside the back line, making it's a wonderful play. It was a very exciting play, but come on, we're talking about Odell's catch. You got to vote for the catch.
All right, and now the final one, we have the Lawrence Taylor one-handed sack against Gary Danielson on Thanksgiving. I mean, like he basically tosses the guy around like he's a toddler.
Do I even need to explain this one?
And then Mel Triplett touchdown to start a rout of the Bears in the 56 championship game. I think that had been was that Seeker Games 2, 56?
No.
If the second Seekers game was back in the 38, it was 34 and 38 the 2 Seeker games, right? That's right.
Yeah. This 56 was the championship win over the Bears at Polo Grounds. And the thing about the triplet play is that I get it. It was part of a championship. I respect the play. He was a terrific back for this team for a lot of years. I don't want to throw any shade that way, but LT, anytime you talk LT to me, you know where the pendulum is going, and you said ragdoll, yeah, that's exactly what LT does, flicking opponents like ragdolls and just doing what LT did. So I would say I vote LT on that play.
And folks, Bob Pop and I recorded a podcast talking about each one of these brackets. It's up there right now on the Giants Huddle podcast. Make sure you go check it out. It's on your favorite podcast platforms, giants.com/podcast, or just go to the Giants mobile app or search for it on your favorite podcast platform. It's all there. Pop and I break down all the matchups, all the plays. Did a lot of research and notes on all those plays, which I probably should have had for this conversation, but I don't. But it was a real fun conversation. conversation.
this is
again.
short. This is short. Those were longer.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, each one is about 20 minutes long. So go check that out.
I could give you 20 minutes on each one.
I know you can. On the Giants Huddle podcast, which you can find in all those places that we just talked about. And when the full schedule release comes out, Paul and I, whenever we have it in our hands, we hope to record a 20-minute or so Giants Huddle podcast talking about the Giants schedule and really breaking it down from start to finish. In the next 2 days, Paul will be with Howard Cross and Jonathan Casillas over the next 2 days talking about the schedule. I'm trying to take a couple days off. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm going to make an attempt. We'll see if that works out for Schmeelk, because then we got OTA starting next week, and then you can't take days off anymore. So I'm trying to get a couple of days in.
And don't forget the Knicks. You can't go out of town.
Why? I'm just taking a vacation. I'm just taking off.
Okay.
I have my tickets to Game 7. I will be there if they're playing.
No,
Hopefully they don't.
No Game 7,
okay.
please.
We'll talk about it if we run out of calls.
Okay.
201-939. Nice win last night. 201-939-4513. Let's go to Donnie in Queens. He'll lead us off today. Donnie, what's going on?
Hey, guys. How are you?
We're good.
Hi.
I know you can't discuss unconfirmed reports, but Minnesota, at Washington, at Cleveland, home Dallas on Thursday night is the Giants' first 4 games. I have the rest of the schedule I can give to you if you want, but I don't know if you want me to take up that much airtime.
No. You can give your comments on those reported first 4 games, but obviously, as you said, we can't say if that's correct or not, because frankly, we don't know.
I got a buddy who works for one of the major networks. I get the schedule early every year, so I'll just leave it. That's the first 4 games. We play on Thanksgiving as well against Dallas. The only time I have is the Viking game as a 1 o'clock opener. So assuming that is the schedule, just hypothetically, not a bad first 4 for the Giants, all things considered, I think. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there, and you can fact check me tomorrow, okay?
Sounds good, Dottie.
Have a good day.
Call.
Thanks, guys.
I appreciate the call. 201-939-4513. And guys, look, we can't. If you want the show to exist, we can't. Let's go to Cliff in New York. Cliff, you're up next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. What's up, Cliff?
Hey, guys. Yeah, that podcast with Bob on the bracket was great, John. It was really great. And
thank you.
And the follow-up yesterday, hearing you talk about Homer Jones really got me going, because when he passed away, I just didn't think we could talk about him enough. I know, Paul, you did some, but what I remember about him, and I want to connect him to the present, what I remember about him was just the way he ran away from people.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't really see that in the fly down the sideline for the great play segment. He would catch a ball over the middle. There would be guys around him, and he would just run away from them. I said, how did he do that? And it was like every time. And when Odell came around, the first thing I thought of was, oh, is this like Homer? And then I thought, no, it really wasn't. And looking back, when Victor Cruz came around, I didn't think about Homer at all. I thought about him a little bit with Odell. So what I'm getting at is why, And so with the recent draft, we had Odunze and Neighbors going on. And you helped me a lot, John, when you told me Neighbors was 6 feet tall. I had no idea. I thought he was like the size of Wandale or something.
Oh, no. And by the way, Cliff, being up close and personal with him, he's thick. Like, his legs are thick. And, I have to look where he measured at the combine. I'm about 6 feet tall, and he's a little bit taller than me even, so I think he's probably like 6 foot ½ inch. You think?
Yeah, I looked him up. Yeah, he is. I looked him up, and he is. And he's 200, which makes him the same size as the guy Joe Burrow throws to.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah, his measurements are almost identical to Jamar Chase. They're very, very similar.
A lot of people have compared the two.
Yeah, Neighbors measured in at 6 foot exactly at the combine. So
there you go.
Maybe we're about the same height then.
Well, so I'm thinking, so he's bigger than Odell. Odell was 185.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Neighbors is definitely thicker than Beckham.
Yeah.
No question about it.
A little bit bigger
there's
frame.
Also a shot of Neighbors from the first day of rookie camp, leaping in the air, and you can see that they're going to talk about his thighs like they did about like Saquon, and we're talking about him being a weapon. I don't know if there's going to be 4 defensive guys that one DC said he had to have focusing on Barkley. I hope so. But anyway, the thing is, what do you think we're going to get? I mean, the way Homer looked was, I was thinking maybe it was his size, and I'm thinking maybe it's his acceleration. And don't they have some metrics on acceleration?
Not back in the day. They didn't put GPSs on the players when Homer was playing.
No. I know that. I know now. No, we knew Homer could run fast. And you mentioned Bob Hayes. I mean, that's why, we didn't hate Dallas at that time. It took me a long time to hate Dallas because they had Bob Hayes. But he wasn't running away from people. He was just running down the field.
Right.
And, with 9.1 in the 100, And so I don't know what we're getting from Malik. I know you guys did a lot of work on him in the draft. I mean, can he run away from people?
Neighbors?
In unison?
In stereo, we're available. Yes, Malik Neighbors can run away from people. That's all he did in college, was run away from people. I forget who had the quote. It might have been Daniel Jeremiah, or it might have been a different draft analyst, and I thought it was a great one. And it was Malik Neighbors does not get separation. Malik Neighbors runs away from people.
Right.
That's what he does.
Oh, they did say that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, he might be the best separator in the whole class.
That's his
But
forte.
I'm talking about those plays over the middle, because once you told me how big he was, and then we also heard that he played outside. I didn't realize that either. I thought he was a slot guy who was going to take snaps away from Wandale.
No, there are a number of tapes, a number of plays on tape where you watch him, and he takes that slant and turns it upfield for touchdowns, just like Beckham used to.
Mm-hmm.
And there's guys around him when he takes the pass, right?
Yeah, of course.
He pulls away. I mean, it's just that simple. And the funny part about it is to say that you wanted one of the receivers over one of the other two who were in the 3-receiver cluster was not an insult to any of them. We tried to explain that since the combine. All 3 of those guys were elite talents, and each one had a little bit of a different spice about them that made them unique to themselves and made them a little bit more special than the other guy. But that doesn't mean that in any way, shape, or form that any one of these 3 guys are going to flame out. I think we all think they're going to be great receivers.
Who's the third one?
Well, Odunze and Harrison and Neighbors.
Oh, Harrison. I always forgot Harrison because he was like a no-brainer. He was going to go and be the first one picked. I forgot all about him.
And look, Cliff, there were some people that had Neighbors graded higher than Harrison. Like that was a thing.
Well, that's good to know. Well, it's something to look forward to, isn't it? He still has to catch his first pass, doesn't he?
Yes, there is a long way to go, and he has a lot to learn. And this Giants offense is notoriously complex.
Mm-hmm.
You ask any of these quarterbacks or wide receivers when they first get here, they're like, yeah, this is a lot. So he's going to have to do his homework. He's going to have to study, and that's going to get him onto the field sooner and give him the opportunity to make some plays.
Well, that was the first. Must have been part of his eval because it's smart, tough, and dependable, right?
Yeah, I mean, you would hope.
I think the whole class actually fit those criteria, to be frank with you.
Did you say the whole class?
Yeah,
Oh.
I think the whole draft class did, from what we could tell. And again, it's only our impressions from meeting these guys at rookie camp and after the draft. It seems like this was a class that fit all 3 of those things.
Well, I thought the coaches in the front office in that first press conference of the year before the draft, I thought they were unusually upbeat for that event. And I just think they think they got something going from the free agent signings. And I think that you're not supposed to think you can carry over from one year to the next, but they really had a heck of a comeback the second half of last season. And I just hope that has to be able to carry over in some way.
Thank you, Cliff. Appreciate the call. And I say this after every year, and I'll just repeat myself. Be very leery of second half of season records when your team's already eliminated.
There's truly no straight line in terms of the development ascension of a team. There's going to be little bumps and little ups and downs. It just does not automatically shoot up on a nice even plane. It won't work that way.
The roster's so much different than it was at the end of last year. You're going to call plays differently because of the different personnel. So, yeah, I think it's a nice thing to feel inside of you and to think, but, I mean, I can't go out there and say with any sort of confidence that, I feel much better about the start of this season because of how the Giants played the final 5 weeks of last season. It honestly, folks, I'm going to be honest with you, zero impact on me. Zero impact. I mean, think about it. Who are your quarterbacks for those final 5 games?
Yeah. The only thing that I will say is that for some of your younger players your first and second year players of the last couple of years. The playoff experience they had was great for their development and their learning. Same thing last year. The fact that this team fought and kept trying and punching on the rock, that's a good character development situation.
Yeah.
And from a generic, standing back from the forest, those are parts of your development. But to suggest that there's a, quote, momentum, that's not the case.
Correct. Individual player development, not necessarily team progress, I think is the best way to put it. I'm with you on that. All right, let's go to our buddy Big Ed in Maryland. He's up next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. What's going on, Big Ed?
Hey, what's up, guys? I got my guys, man.
How you doing?
Captain Optimism and Energy. What's up, buddy?
What's up, fellas? How y'all been, man?
It's a good day.
We're
How
good.
are
What
you?
do you got?
Hey, I'm just like, if he said it's true and we play Dallas on Thanksgiving, that's going to be huge. And then if we start against Minnesota, that's even huger. But I'm really more so focused on who do we play in the second half of the season more so than the first.
Why is that, Big Ed?
Because that's going to really determine what we are really made of as a team this coming season.
Remember, Ed, though, you want to make sure you're still in it the second half of the year. We've had too many years where that wasn't the case. So, honestly, I would rather just get off to a good start and then take my chances with a tougher second half schedule, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah, I agree. We going to focus on the first half, no question, but it's just the thing about it. And, Paulie, you can relate. The first half of the season always be a certain type of style of play. We generally can start off good, maybe get half or less, just depends, maybe a game or two, but most of those games we're really into them. It only starts to change into that late November, full December into January is where we see, the thickness of football.
Well, you get your rookies who will hit the rookie wall, as you know, right? Yeah. At around the 10th to 12th game. All of a sudden, they hit the rookie wall. And if those rookies are guys who you were heavily counting on during their initial NFL seasons, now that gets a little sticky because all of a sudden those guys start sucking wind a little bit. So you got to be wary of that, Big Ed.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, yeah, and let me drop it real quick. My top 5 greatest all-time Giant plays history, all right?
Plays or players?
No, plays.
Okay, what do you got?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we're doing 100 season. Oh, yeah, L'Haim.
Did you vote?
Yeah,
did you vote? Did you vote already or no?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I'm going to vote.
Okay.
So, but I'm going to tell you my 5, though. They're in no particular order, though.
Okay.
So it's that Lawrence Taylor game when he scored against Detroit and ran it back.
Okay.
The pick six. Again,
yes,
yeah, pick six
absolutely.
On Thanksgiving. I remember it well.
Yeah, big one.
Yep.
Right? The Monty Toomer catch against Dallas in the playoffs.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
42. Yes, absolutely.
Down the left sideline.
Yeah,
Yep.
because the Cowboys,
Right.
opposite of the Packer game, the Cowboys were dominating that first half, running the football, and that play completely turned all
Without
the
a doubt.
momentum of that game.
Without a doubt.
Yes, always game changers, right? Another one, the Odell catch against Dallas on Sunday night.
The problem with that play, Big Ed, and why I wouldn't put it in my top 5, it lost the game. It's a regular season game that they lost.
Oh.
It's okay. I mean, if he's talking about athleticism, it would be up there.
I'm just giving my opinion.
That's good.
Right.
I get it.
Right. Now here's the last one. My main man and one of my favorite Giants of all time. Must let it be known now because we come in a Hard Knocks tour. This is the first time ever I got to come to training camp. This is going to be exciting. But Victor Cruz against the Redskins scoring that big catch for that bomb.
Whoa. You're going to take that over the Jets?
How about the?
Well, the 99
are we not going to talk about
was great too, but I couldn't put that one both in there. The Redskin catch, though. That game against the Redskins had a lot of more meaning to it. Not that the Jets game did.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Big Ed, hold on.
What year was it?
The win where I'm not letting him get off the hook here.
No, I'm not.
The Jets, the catch against the Jets was so, without that catch, that whole rest of the Super Bowl run probably doesn't happen.
Yeah, but they're not in the playoffs.
How can you? I can't. I will not let you get away with that.
And I'm going to throw two more out there that you didn't mention. Do you remember there were 2 Super Bowls the Giants played in? And there was a couple plays in those games. There was, I think, I don't remember who did it, but someone caught a ball against their helmet. That was a pretty important play.
Oh.
And then
I think he had one more, but he had one more. He only had 4. He had one more for us.
No, I thought that was all 5.
Was that all 5?
That was just only a good 5. That wasn't the
So wait a minute. He's right. You're leaving Manningham and Tyree off your top 5?
And then the Manningham played down the sideline.
Oh, Big Ed. After this call, you're now Small Ed. It is what it is, man.
I had the Manningham catch in there, too. I'm trying to, you know what? I had all 3 of them in there. I'm like, I can't put all 3 of them in there. It can only be 1 because of the other 4 for what they did.
Oh, boy.
I got you, Big Ed.
All right.
Appreciate the call,
Make sure you vote. Make sure you vote.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to tell y'all that. I really liked the draft. That was really good. That was great work. I hope everybody worked that thing out and they get acclimated really well. But we just, that coaching got to be on, man. That line looks great. But the coaching has to be on so we can make it.
Thank you, Big Ed. Appreciate the call. I think that's David Tyree calling the other line. You better pick up and see what's going on. And by the way, the other play I'll throw out there, you go back to regular season plays, and it's one play, but he hits it's a monster game, so I'll include it in there. That JPP blocked field goal on Bailey's kick against Dallas in November that year.
Well, those are the 2 plays that saved that season.
It saved the season.
Cruz and JPP.
Hey, you could even go back to the Bradshaw long against Buffalo. Now, the Giants kind of had a lead in that game, so it's not quite as essential, but you don't beat the Bills that year, you're not going to the playoffs in 2007 either.
And I don't mind saying this, but I don't like when people overlook Corey Webster's interception against Green Bay in overtime.
Oh, trust me, there was some debate about that when we put the brackets together. But yes, I was a huge proponent of that play.
I get it. We may not have been the most spectacular, athletic, acrobatic, gymnastic catch.
And if Antonio Pierce doesn't tackle the
I know.
the screen, that's a touchdown.
I know.
I still remember watching that game from the booth when they set that screen pass up. There was no one there.
Oh, I know.
That is a score. It is a 25-yard touchdown catch, but Antonio Pierce runs through 3 guys, 3 blockers, and tackles Jackson for a loss.
I was in the regular box then. You were in the radio booth. And I was horrified. I thought that was going to go. And when Pierce made the hit, I was like, oh, man, that's AP. You know the problem, Big Ed? And here's where I'm going to give you a little mulligan.
It's tough to narrow it to 5.
I'll give you a little bit of a mulligan. I mean, I'm going into my 42nd season. I probably have about 578 greatest all-time plays that I could rattle off for you. And I couldn't put them in order. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of a mulligan there. But you can't leave out Manningham and Tyree.
No, there is no planet, and Big Ed, we love you, you know that. There's no planet in which you could put the Odell Beckham catch over the Tyree and Manningham catches. Sorry.
Can't do it.
Can't do it.
Can't do it.
Can't do it.
Nope.
Not at all. Sorry, Ed. Small Ed. Small Ed until your next call. We're just playing. We're all having fun. Scott, New Mexico. Scott, you're up next. See, this is why these May shows are fun. We can have a little fun with it. I like
no
it.
doubt.
Scott, what's going on, pal?
Hey, guys.
Hi.
First of all, I just also wanted to wish Jason, one of the other calls, congratulations on his new child.
Yeah,
so,
Jason in New Haven. Congratulations.
That was great news.
I like listening to him, and
he's a good dude. He's a good dude.
Yeah. Before I get to my main point, there's a couple of plays that would seem innocuous that I think might make the list, and I have 2 in particular. One is in '86 when Jim Burt knocked Joe Montana out of the game, and on that play, Lawrence Taylor intercepted the pass and ran for a touchdown.
Well, I think all the plays are. You can't vote for all the plays, but I think all the plays are up there, right? The brackets are up there, Pearson. I think they are, right? Is it just blue? I'm going to look to see if the other plays are listed in the other brackets, or maybe you just can't vote. Anyway, go ahead, Scott. I'm sorry.
And then the other play that wouldn't seem very important in the championship game in 11, there was about 36 seconds left after what's his name caught the touchdown, and Tom Brady was sacked by Jay Alford, I believe.
Yep.
And that pretty much ended or put the kibosh on whether New England could even come back at that point. Wouldn't that also make a list, because that play was significant in that particular game?
Well, I'll actually go further than that and tell you that Corey Webster guarding Randy Moss down the sideline on 2 Hail Mary throws was even more important than Jay Alford's sack.
Yeah. And that's the problem. There were multiple plays in that series, so it's hard to really pick out one from that group.
Right.
How about the 4th down conversion by Brandon Jacobs on the game-winning drive?
Exactly.
How about the Steve Smith catch on that was a third?
No doubt.
That was also
Yes.
4th down, right?
No, it was third.
That was third.
That
down.
was a third down.
3rd and 5 or 3rd and 7, right?
And he weaseled his way to the sticks.
He did a little out route, and he ran.
I mean, this is the problem. I mean, there's so many. There's so many.
And that's why I was thinking it's hard to bracket everything, because certain plays in certain games just made the difference in whether you win a championship or not. And I always put more importance on that kind of thing.
Scott, I will tell you this. Go back when you get a chance. Go back and pop in your tape of Super Bowl 25 against the Bills. And I will tell you, there are probably as many as 10 to 12 plays that were absolutely critical and could have turned that game in Buffalo's favor. But every single one of the most critical plays went the Giants' way, including Hostetler holding onto the ball in the end zone when Bruce Smith comes in for the safety.
I remember that play.
That ball comes free. Buffalo gets a touchdown. God only knows what happens in that game.
Right. Well, it's very interesting, so I'm be curious to see how the brackets work out. But my main question is this. I'm concerned about the 2 backup quarterbacks the Giants have. Not so much about Tommy DeVito, because I think they can work with him, but more so with Drew Lock. And I want to get your opinion. Drew Lock has a losing record as a starting quarterback.
Very small sample size, though.
Right. Yeah, I know. But I don't think he's ever averaged over 200 yards, and he's thrown almost as many interceptions as he has touchdowns. So my question is this. Can Tommy DeVito sort of jump him to become the backup to Daniel Jones? Or if worst case scenario, Daniel Jones isn't ready, would he be available to start? Or are they so locked into Drew Lock that they wouldn't consider something like that?
I mean, I think everything's a competition. And, you would never say never, but I would think Drew Lock is the heavy favorite to be the primary backup right now.
Yeah, he'd have a leg up. But that's not to say that it's impossible for DeVito over training camp to try to wrestle it away.
But look, I mean, Drew Lock got a fairly significant contract, so I would be very surprised if they did not have faith in him to be the primary backup.
The intent is for him to be too.
Correct.
Yeah.
Wasn't Drew Lock signed for $5 million for 1 year, I thought?
There's also incentives in there, according to certain reports.
Correct.
So it could be worth more. It's actually very similar to the contract Tyrod Taylor had.
Very close.
Yeah.
And that's also the indication, if you remember, that was the indication that we gave you when they brought him in. Because of the kind of contract that he signed, it made it flexible for him to either wind up at some point maybe being the starter if they need him to be, or being the bridge if he needs to be, which is why I never thought there was much stock in them going after a QB in the draft.
Right. Okay, well, that was basically my question, guys, so I'll let you go on to the next caller.
Oh, good. Thank you, Scott. All right, so by the way, you guys want to look at the plays, all right? They don't have the 4 brackets up yet. The only bracket that's up there is the blue bracket, but if you go below that, the first page on Giants.com/bracket, and you go underneath the 5 panels that you have there at the top, you can actually look at all the plays in each one of the brackets. So you can actually sort through the brackets, and you can watch the videos of all the plays, even though the bracket isn't up there yet. So
they'll be going up every week.
So if you want to know what the 64 plays are, they're there. You can look at them.
Right. But you can't vote yet.
You can't see them in bracket form. You can only vote in the blue bracket for the rest of this week. And then it's going to be, I'm assuming they're going to do it in order, maybe not, but then you're going to have the red bracket, the gray bracket, and the white bracket. And then we're going to have a final 4. We'll have a separate podcast for each one of those, and voting every week on those as well. We have a couple open lines, by the way, if you want to get in, 201-939-4513. And again, once the schedule is out, folks, and you get excited, go to Giants.com/tickets. You could become a season ticket member. You can get connected to the team all year round, not just on game days. Memberships are now available for the 2024 season. To learn more about all the exclusive member benefits, visit giants.com/tickets. Limited inventory is available. And, of course, eventually when the full schedule does get released, you can go find those single-game tickets as well. I imagine they're going to go very fast this year, though, with everything happening. So make sure you go to giants.com/tickets for that. And while you're there and you're online, go check out Giants TV. It's the Giants' official connected TV streaming app. It brings original video content and game highlights on demand and direct to Big Blue fans. Giants TV is free on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and the Giants mobile app, and all the other smart TVs that are out there. All right, let's go to Leroy in Charleston. Leroy, what's going on?
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're great, Leroy. What's on your mind?
Hey, look, here's what I got, man. You know, I'm a huge Knicks fan,
Okay.
and I heard you guys talking about Jalen Brunson earlier. Not today, but it was one of the earlier shows.
Yes, sir.
And y'all were talking about what he meant to the Knicks.
Yeah.
Jalen Brunson's heart. And I couldn't help but thinking you all describing Saquon Barkley, what he meant to the Giants. And at that time, that made me think, right now, who would you guys consider to be the face of the franchise for the Giants right now?
I would say probably Dexter Lawrence.
Okay, and I feel the same way.
Dexter Lawrence, I would agree.
And I would just say to you, Leroy, I think comparing an
Mm-hmm.
NFL running back in the modern NFL to the best player on an NBA team, the NFL just doesn't work that way anymore.
I understand, but what I'm saying, but I'm not really comparing that. But what I'm trying to say is, we need to have someone on the sideline. You know, I still hear y'all guys playing Strahan, you know, saying believe it. You know what I'm saying? And I need to hear Dex. I want to see him take over the team. So, you know, we need that vocal leader on the sideline.
Well, and Leroy, and I'll say this too. I think we get to we get to week 8 this year. We might say Malik Neighbors is now the face of the Giants franchise.
Well,
there is a chance by like the end of the year we're saying it's Neighbors. I mean, I think there's a real chance that's the case.
I love to see that, but I just need to see that vocal leader out there, you know, cheering the guys on. And
well, I do think Leroy on defense. You talk about Neighbors. I think Nubin has a chance to really develop into a leader defensively. I mean, I don't know how vocal and rah-rah he's going to be, but in terms of leadership, I just did an interview with his head coach in Minnesota and his defensive coordinator at Minnesota. It's going to go up in a couple weeks in the Giants Huddle podcast. I could not get them to stop talking about how much they loved him as a leader and a person. So I think in terms of leadership on defense, I think he's a guy that can really step into that role.
Now, I will add this. You may not see it from the television. You may not even see it from the stands, but I'm on the sideline for road games. Bobby Okereke is one hell of a leader.
It's a good one, too.
One hell of a leader. Now, he may not be the, quote, face of the franchise like Dexter. I think John's right. I'll go Dexter for face of the franchise. But Bobby Okereke is as good a leader as you'd want to find.
Okay, great. And listen, without a doubt, that catch that Manningham made on the sideline, man, was the best I've seen. Without a doubt.
And by the way, not just the catch, Leroy.
How about the throw?
That you could not have put that throw in a better place. That safety is screaming over. There is no room to get that in, and he puts it. That pass almost is out of bounds. It's so close to the sideline that Manningham makes the catch.
That was a beautiful pass.
Even though the Tyree catch is more historic and it's a overall a more amazing play because of Eli's escape and the just the ridiculous degree of difficulty, one-handed catch on the helmet. In terms of pure execution, the Manningham play is better.
Yes, right, definitely. There's no doubt. Man, I could remember coming to the games early just to watch Eli warm up. That guy was impressive, man. I don't think people realize how big he was. You know, to see him throw was unbelievable.
And he played the best. And look, the thing about Eli Manning, he is that Jeter aspect where he played his best in the biggest spots. Even in 2016, when the Giants made the playoffs and they lost to the Packers,
great game.
Eli was unbelievable in that game. If his receivers were more worried about catching footballs instead of running around shirtless before the game, they could have won that game.
Yep.
And if DRC doesn't get hurt in that game too, which is
that was the crippler.
All right, and then Eli was dependable. He was there every week, man. He never got hurt, seems like.
No.
But, yeah. But anyway, that was it.
Thank you, Leroy.
Let you see guys get me that leader, man, on the sideline, man.
We're trying, Leroy. Hey, appreciate you listening and appreciate the call. All right, I'm gonna ask Paul a question here, Pearson. I'm gonna ask you if you think he is. Do you think if I said Leroy Jenkins to him, he would have any idea what I'm talking about?
No.
Does Leroy Jenkins mean anything to you?
He does not.
Nothing. Okay.
Go ahead. You might as well tell everybody.
Should I have him Google search it after the show so he's
Yeah,
surprised by it?
Maybe it's hard to explain.
It is hard to explain. I need him to watch it, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Leroy Jordan played for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes. He is not a football player.
Okay.
Do you know what World of Warcraft is?
Yeah, it's a good.
I have absolutely no idea what you're
Yes,
talking
correct.
about.
Yeah, I don't think he would have any idea. But whenever I see a Leroy Cohen, all I can think, and every time I watch that video, I still laugh. It's
okay.
It's the best. And did you ever play World of Warcraft, Pearson? I had about a year where I played some World of Warcraft, which is why it's even a little funnier for me.
Okay.
But anyway, let's go to Hugo in New Jersey. Hugo, you're up next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hugo, what's going on?
Hey, good afternoon, guys.
Hi.
Hey, John. I did vote in the bracket challenge and did exactly as you suggested, and looked at all the plays that are nominees.
Nice.
And you know what really strikes me, it's so hard to put together that type of list, especially when you're trying to balance eras. But I wanted to talk about two plays in particular that are not part of the 64.
Okay.
And the plays have their own names. So I'm going to start. I'm going to tell you when it happened and describe the plays, and then give you a little bit of context.
Sure.
Afterwards.
Sure.
So it's December 10th, 1989. Giants have come from a 2-game losing streak, back-to-back. 49ers 2 weeks back, and the Eagles.
Okay. I'm a little young for this one, so I think this one's better for Paul. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. It was the Eagles the week before. So the Giants are out in Mile High Stadium. Good Bronco team. Dan Reeves head coach, John Elway.
Gary Reasons.
It's a hit by Gary Reasons on a goal line.
I'm way ahead of you. Go ahead.
And I'm going to quote John Madden. John Madden said, on this drive, Gary Reasons has made 3 of the best hits I have ever seen.
Wow.
None better than the last one. On a fourth down attempt to leap into the end zone by Bobby Humphrey.
Oh, I've seen that play, actually. Now that you mentioned the leap, I actually have seen that play
You have to
before.
understand
Yep.
something.
Okay, I know what you're talking
the
about.
play on the goal line, first of all, if it happened today, it'd be a penalty.
Which is fine. That
But
doesn't matter.
it's not relevant because this is not today.
Almost every LT highlight would be a penalty.
Yeah,
So
right?
what's the difference?
Oh, my goodness. In fact, I talked to
So
Leonard
let me-
Marshall about that, and he said, our team defense would have been penalized every other play because they hit people so hard.
Right.
But here's the thing about that play, just so you know. The photograph that I believe Jerry Pincus, who was the Giants team photographer at the time, unofficial Giants team photographer, shot of Humphrey and Reasons colliding at the line, was actually voted the NFL Photo of the Year by the Pro Football Hall of Fame that season.
Yeah. That play from my young youth is always a play I remember. And Gary, you're talking about a linebacking score of Taylor, Banks, Johnson, and Reasons. And Reasons was the most nondescript of the 4. They were all obviously very exceptional players. But that day, Gary Reasons played out of his mind.
Mm-hmm.
He and another player, which I will go into next, willed the Giants to victory. The other play doesn't have a general name, but it was named by Bill Parcells. He called it Third in Arkansas.
Now, my guess, by the way, Hugo, just real quick, why that play probably didn't make the list is because 89 was a kind of a lost season, and it didn't have a huge overall impact on how the season went. Again, I was not deeply involved in that initial way it went down, but that would be my guess why that. And Gary Reasons does make it. Gary Reasons does make another appearance in the bracket.
I'm sure he does.
But I'm going to provide a little bit of context about that game.
Yeah, please go ahead.
But I want to name the other play, which Parcells calls Third in Arkansas. It was a 3rd and 31 screen pass to David Meggett that went for 57 yards. Now, keep in mind, the Giants won this game 14-7. So if the Reasons play doesn't happen, if the Meggett play doesn't happen, the Giants lose. And by the way, William Roberts delivered a devastating block downfield on that play. His first year playing point guard full time. So let me just go give the.
I would just debate to you that the Meggett play wouldn't be anywhere in my top 600. Just letting you know.
In your
I'm sorry. It is not even close to being considered. But go ahead.
Okay. So here's the sequence of events. Like I said, 2 weeks prior, the Giants played a Monday night game against the San Francisco 49ers. Eventual world champs, one of the truly great teams. In that game, it went down to the wire, and Lawrence Taylor got hurt. He got rolled up on it, hurt his ankle. After the game, Bill Parcells stood before the team and said, "You guys played valiantly, but there are no medals for trying." And they had a short week to play Philadelphia. Philadelphia had already beaten the Giants the week earlier in the season. They played Philadelphia and lost. So they were in a situation where they essentially had to sweep the remaining 3 games going into Denver and have Philadelphia lose 1 game. Now, the week between San Francisco and Philadelphia was chronicled by Jerry Eisenberg in a book called No Medals for
He
Trying.
took that from Bill.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's a great book, by the way. I advise every Giants fan to get it. Right. It's great.
Right.
What book is it?
Right.
No Medals for Trying by Jerry Eisenberg.
I'll have to check it out.
Outstanding.
Great writer. Eisenberg's an excellent
Love
writer.
Jerry. Jerry's in his 90s living out in Las Vegas.
He was one of the guys that went to every Super Bowl at one point, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so.
Well, one interesting quote in that book, after the loss to Philly, remember Philly had swept the Giants, was from Bill Belichick, who said, "I still think we will win the NFC East." And in fact, Philly lost 1 game along down the last 3 games of the season. The Giants swept, including that critical game in Denver, which was a terribly difficult place to play in. Now, the thing about the Giants won the NFC East, and Bill Parcells is quoted as saying he thought that 1989 team could have gone all the way.
Yeah,
we got some
for sure.
terrible breaks in the playoff, and we just didn't match up. It's weird. The Giants matched up really well against Montana and Walsh, but not so well against Jim Everett and John Robinson. It was really we had trouble with the Rams for a period of years there, and that led to the Flipper Anderson game.
Yeah, Flipper Anderson took advantage of a nicked up Mark Collins
with a broken leg, and there was a pass. If you recall, Paul,
I know
there was a pass interference call against a nondescript corner named Sheldon White.
Sheldon White, number 39.
Wow,
Yep.
This is great.
Okay.
Now, Hugo, by the way, awesome call, man. Like, this is great. Like, if you other fans out there have memories like this and you want to highlight specific plays or players that maybe you think got omitted that should be there, this is great. I learned a lot listening to the call. That was fantastic.
Yeah, but he's taking me back to some heartbreak. I don't like that. I try to put the heartbreak in the back of the memory bank.
And again, I think that's probably why maybe they didn't make the final group, because there was the context of the plays did end up being the best.
I'm sure over the years, John, you've seen the highlight. That's when Flipper Anderson, takes the catch down the right sideline from the TV camera, and he runs right into the tunnel, into the west tunnel.
I've seen him many times.
I mean, it's a very famous play, and that was one of the most gut-wrenching, I mean, literally gut-wrenching defeats that I've ever been at over the years.
Not individual defeat, but totality. Which season was more disappointing, 89 or 2008? Or is there one that's worse than the two of those?
Probably 89, because the moment that I heard Plexico Burress had accidentally shot himself, I knew that was going to derail the season.
But when you look
realistically
back,
speaking, I knew it. I knew. Like, oh my God!
Which one of those teams do you think had a better chance of winning the Super Bowl?
Oh, 2008.
Well, so shouldn't it be 08 then?
Again, the circumstance made me a realist, and I felt that once that happened, I gave up.
And it happened early enough where it didn't sting as much. While the Rams game is kind of like that.
Well, the Rams game. Here's the thing: the Rams game. Okay, the Rams game was at Giant Stadium against a quarterback who, quite frankly, a lot of people thought was soft. Jim
Oh, yeah.
Everett,
Remember the whole Jim Rome, Chris
Jim Everett could
Jim Everett
throw.
thing?
He had a hell of an arm, but he wasn't thought about as a tough blood and guts winner.
Call me Chris one more time.
Yeah, exactly. and to be frank, yeah. I thought the Giants would, even though the Rams used to give them trouble, I thought the Giants were going to take care of business. And yes, did I think that would have been another of Parcells' rings? I absolutely thought they could win that Super Bowl. That one hurt like hell because the bad call on Sheldon White, Collins gets hurt, and the combination of those two things leads to Flipper running through the end zone into the tunnel in this house.
He's getting mad.
In this house.
He's getting fired up now.
That was a 10-minute, 5-minute stretch. My guts wanted to explode. I'm sorry.
Knicks won on last night.
Yes. Jalen Brunson, everybody.
And now, Pearson, you put your headset on. I actually have to root for your Celtics now on Friday night. Do you know why? I mean, root for your Celtics tonight. Do you know why?
I don't know why.
So if the Celtics close the Cavs out, the Knicks will play at either 8 or 8:30 on Friday night, one or the other.
Yeah.
If the Cavs win, your guys' game 6, I believe, is also Friday night, correct? The Celtics-Cavs, I think it will be Friday night, correct? If I'm not mistaken. Game 6 would be Friday night if the Cavs win.
Yes.
That game would be at 8:30 or 8 o'clock. You know
Okay.
what time the Knicks will play on Friday night if both those games are Friday night? 6 p.m.
Oh.
You know what I'm doing at 6 p.m.? Picking up kids from school, making dinner from kids from school.
Oh.
I will literally, if the Celtics and it's Boston.
So this is purely for you, not for New York.
Oh, no, it's purely
I
selfish.
gotcha.
Correct. So I will literally have to get a babysitter to watch my kids and cook dinner for them and stuff on Friday while I watch the Knick game in the basement. I will be in the house because my wife's in the city working that day, so she usually gets home a little bit later because the commute stuff. So I will literally have to get a babysitter to be in my house taking care of my kids while I'm watching the Knick game in the basement because I cannot have that Knick game on while I'm around my 2 small children. It will not work.
I understand that. But from a Knicks perspective, wouldn't you rather clinch this sucker that night and have Cleveland extend the Celtics series as long as possible?
Just I don't care about the Celtics Cavs series. Just finish them off on Friday.
Yes. Let's not be greedy. Just go out there and beat the Pacers.
What we've all learned, and we made this point, no matter how much you win or lose a game by, it does not carry into the next game.
It does not. Jalen Brunson said that himself.
Well, and then we saw that from Knicks game 5.
We sure did.
Game 4 to game 5. So go out there, play hard again. Hopefully Brunson looks great. His leg looks good.
2 days of rest, folks.
And you hope that the defense and then the rebounding, Hartenstein was unbelievable. Deuce McBride, unbelievable. All the guys were great.
Burks,
and you
Hart.
The Knicks led by 9 late in the fourth quarter in Indiana in game 3.
I know.
Just play the same way you did in that game. Close them out.
Don't shoot 35% from the field, and don't have Indiana shoot 55% from the field and 40% from 3.
I mean, the Pacers are shooting 42% from 3 for the series.
Ridiculous.
They're shooting out of their you-know-whats. It's crazy.
Absolutely ridiculous.
And then, so hopefully the Knicks will close them out on Friday night.
Series should have been over already.
But no, you know what, though? The Knicks caught breaks in game 1.
I know.
Pacers caught breaks in game 3. It all evens out. And now Knicks will try to win in Indiana. Indiana's not lost at home yet in the playoffs. So
I know.
You need to try to figure that one out. For Paul Dottino, I'm John Schmeelk. Thanks for checking out Big Blue Kickoff Live today. Presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the Giants. I'm going to explain to Paul Leroy Jenkins is, and we will see you next time right here on Giants.com and the Giants app. Schedule release tonight, 8 o'clock, NFL Network, Giants social media channels. Make sure you check all that out. You're going to see a big part of a big person that's heavily involved in the program in that schedule release video, which is very exciting.
We will.
Yes, and it's not me or Paul. We'll see you next time, everybody. Adios.